Dennis from Northern Utah writes, thanks for the education. I really enjoy the shows. Several shows ago, Andrew talked about the USA versus the U.S., couches and couch covers,
Right.
the Act of 1871. But because it wasn't brains that got me here, he's using the same, it wasn't brains that got me here.
Yeah.
Could you please explain this to a golden retriever in the audience? How does this impact us today?
Well, it impacts us because if we think we have constitutional rights, we don't. And so, you ask yourself how this could be. Well, here's a perfect one, right? My field. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says, ready? No state shall make anything but gold or silver coin a tender in payment of debt. It means you can't pay your bills with anything except gold and silver coins. How are we doing there? Doesn't sound like we're following that too much. And the reality is because we're sitting on the plastic and not on the couch. So the Constitution, here's another one, in a matter of controversy where the value exceeds $20, a trial by jury shall not be denied, right? So in any matter where the amount of controversy is $20 or more, you're allowed to a jury trial. When was the last time you went in for a speeding ticket, traffic ticket, name your court? There isn't even a jury box. There's some guy sitting up there in a black robe dispensing justice without a jury, and the matter exceeds the fine that he's going to give you exceeds $20. How is that possible? And again, it's possible because, hey, you're not sitting on the couch. You're sitting on the plastic. So this is how it affects us in our day-to-day lives. You think of all the incursions of the FDA, the FCC, the FTC, every alphabet soup agency that government employs that comes into your state without jurisdiction and preaches the law to you that's made at a federal level someplace without jurisdiction. Again, none of that would be possible if we were sitting on the couch and not on the plastic. So that corporate United States is the one that assumes jurisdiction, and from it springs all of the alphabet soup agencies that are beleaguering America's miners, farmers, fishers, and manufacturers.
So the corporate United States that puts us sitting on the plastic and not
Correct.
on the couch.
That's right.
Started when?
Well, the merger of law and equity, I would argue, Erie versus Tompkins, 1934. But the Constitution organic law was subverted by the Act of 1871, which the writer mentioned. And that effectively created the corporate United States. It just wasn't used emphatically until the bankruptcy, which was in March of 1933. So once the United States was effectively declared bankrupt and put into receivership, then we stopped paying our debts with gold and silver coins and started discharging our debts with Federal Reserve notes. So then it became a chit system, or more of a insurance scrip. So, we're going to give you these markers until we settle this bankruptcy, and you hold these markers, and that represents your interest in the corp.
So the U.S. corp is still in bankrupt.
Oh, yeah.
Since 1933.
Since 34, every president has reinstituted this national state of emergency since then. Every one has signed an executive order saying, oh, yeah, it's still an emergency. It might have been for a different reason or another, but you will find every president since then signing an executive order declaring that the emergency continues.
So is that why, to this day, the feds in Washington believe they can go into a state,
that's right,
and tell them you can't sell raw milk,
anything,
or you can't have medical marijuana,
anything, anything.
And legally, are they on solid ground?
No. Well, as long as we're all using the plastic on the couch, right? So that is that corporate United States. Yeah, they're on solid ground. We all have a zip code. We all have bank accounts. We're all U.S. citizens. We all discharge our debts with Federal Reserve notes.
So we are on.
So
the
we're in
plastic.
the venue. We're on the plastic.
Can we not get off the plastic and on the couch?
That's the so-called sovereign citizens movement,
man, sure.
right? Where
good luck with that.
Yeah, go ahead, but make sure you have your army because they have one and it's big.
You spend the rest of your life doing that.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant fight. I assure you that.
But you understand why some of the patriots get out.
Oh, yeah,
and they
because
study
the
this
law's
stuff
with them.
because and they see it and they go,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is crazy."
Well, then I'm going to get out there and I'm going to declare my sovereignty, and I'm going to be a citizen of Texas, and I'm going to ignore the federal government and all its mandates. And
Yeah.
oof.
Oof. So what I don't understand is with all this money printing in Japan and practically elsewhere, there's really no visible inflation on their number, but I guess maybe real inflation is more than what the media tells us.
Well, I would
not?
look at steel and iron prices, I guess, if you want some indication there. But the impact of this inflation, which has been largely hidden until now, thanks to the balance sheet of various banks. So we talked about how the banks that took the money from the Fed, nearly $2.5 trillion of those $4 trillion, and parked it right back on deposit at the New York Fed. So of the $4 trillion that the Fed put into circulation, $1 trillion was already there. So the other $3 trillion, 2.5 was taken in by the banks and then redeposited at the Fed. So from a dollar perspective, you haven't really seen the inflation because it's stashed on the Fed's balance sheet. And they also do their
And why do they do this?
Sorry?
Why did they do this?
To curb inflation. Remember, this
to
is,
suck the money, and make
they
sure
gotta,
the money doesn't go.
They have to keep that money out of circulation.
The only person that benefits from that are the banks. Duh.
Yeah, and your point.
I mean, and your point?
Yeah.
Hey, that's crazy.
Yeah, put the banks in the most competitive position, and make them flush with capital, while the American people are not so well off. It kind of puts the banks at a bit of an advantage and helps them to rebuild their balance sheet. And there was a lot of talk about this during the crisis. It was, we feel so bad that the banks have lost all their equity, and so we're going to make it easy for them to make money for the next few years so they can rebuild their balance sheets or make money. And that's exactly the circumstances that have arisen. A favorable environment for banks and bankers to make money without really producing anything, merely buying that treasury bond today and hold it until rates go down and then sell it and take the profit. So this has more than anything rebuilt the bank's balance sheets over the last 7 years.
What does Andy think will happen with interest rates a year from now? Oh, put on your
prognostication
your Karnak, the magnificent hat. A year from now, minor increases or more dramatic increases. Have a great day from Lori. So you're predicting nothing's going to happen today, right?
Yeah, but once the election is over,
as Donald Trump said,
then it's back to business. And especially if Donald Trump is elected, I expect you'll see rapidly rising interest rates.
So that's why you're predicting that if Mr. Trump gets in, it's going to be bad news bears, because they're going to raise interest rates.
Yep.
The market's going to plunge, and
Correct.
And everybody's going to be running around with their hair on fire,
Correct.
saying Donald Trump. Hey, look what he's doing.
It's his fault.
Look what he's doing.
Yeah.
See, we made a mistake. Let's impeach him.
Yeah, don't you think that the war against Donald Trump will be over the day he wins the election? That's
not happening.
Not happening. It certainly is not happening.